Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, back again with Good Omens. Last time on Good Omens, we had the book. What happened last episode?
Well, if I recall correctly, we were introduced to the prophecies of, was it Agnes Nutter?
Yeah, I think so.
The very specific prophecies.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward into modern times for her descendants, and then there's another character that was introduced. But in the meantime, Aziraphale and Crowley are still in the search for the real Antichrist, and not having much luck as it is. But I'm sure they'll find him in this episode.
Yeah. They did... Aziraphale did find the phone number.
Yes,
so
666, which we had mentioned in our last commentary.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty much that, and I guess we can just move right along into the next episode. Unless
two things, I have been reading the comments. I am looking for the original book. Being a teacher and just a guy who likes to read. And obviously, having told you before that I thought the book of the Omen was much better than film, somewhere this summer I will get a chance to read the book of Good Omens. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And we also mentioned the weather here in Oklahoma in the last time. Yeah. Well, this morning we had a severe thunderstorm come through, which here in our neighborhood has knocked down fences and uprooted trees, and we have a house across the street that had a tree literally split in half, and the gigantic branches half is laying on the ground. So that's Oklahoma in the springtime and early summer for you.
Ooh, early summer, because it is hot here still. All right, well, this is basically where we say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever, and yeah, I guess that's pretty much that.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. Let's get right into episode 3. Here we go.
Aziraphale, Angel of the Eastern Gate.
Yes, Lord?
Where is the flaming sword I gave you, Aziraphale, to guard the Gate of Eden?
Wiping out the human race. Big storm. All of them. Just the locals. I don't believe the Almighty's upset with the Chinese or the Native Americans. Put up a new thing called a rainbow as a promise not to drown everyone again.
How kind.
You can't judge the Almighty, Crawley. God's plans are...
Are you going to say ineffable?
Yes, ineffable.
Possibly.
Oi, Shem! That unicorn's gonna make a run for it! Yeah, it's too late. It's too late!
Crawley doesn't want to do it for me. It's a bit too squirming, your fetish.
I thought it was Crawley.
Yeah.
So what is it now? Mephistopheles? Asmodeus?
Crowley.
That's it, just change one letter.
What was it he said that got everyone so upset? Be kind to each other. Oh, no.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. I think I know what they're getting at here. Is Aziraphale's discomfort with everything that's happened.
I've never eaten an oyster.
Oh, let me tempt you to... Oh. That's your job. Isn't it?
The wearing of glasses in ancient Rome seems a bit out of place.
Yeah.
I was hoping
kind of armor's not really 537.
Yeah.
More middle age.
You have sought the Black Knight, foolish one. But you have found your death.
Is that you under there, Crawley?
Crowley.
What the hell are you playing at?
I'm here spreading ferment.
Is that some kind of porridge?
No, I'm fermenting. Possibly, the result will be the same. Cancel each other out.
This is very much in the Blackadder tradition.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
To be! I mean, not to be! Come on, Howard! Buck up!
Audience participation.
Age does not wither, nor custom stay of his infant.
This is only the second time I've seen David Tennant in the Globe Theater.
Reign of Terror.
Yeah.
Wet slice.
So you just popped across the channel during a revolution because you wanted something to nibble, dressed like that?
I have standards. I'd heard they were getting a bit carried away over here.
Crowley looks a little bit like
carried away. This is
Robespierre
lots of people's heads very
with the dark
efficiently
glasses and
with a
everything.
cutting machine.
Yeah.
We may have both started off as angels, but you are fallen.
I didn't really fall. I just, sauntered vaguely downwards. I need a favour. You ducks have yours? Must it? So they hear other ducks.
Out of question.
Why not? Not what I want it for, just insurance.
Holy water.
I'm not an idiot, Crowley.
I have to say the production values are really good.
Yeah. For only filming part of a scene in it.
The nice and accurate prophecies of Agnes Nutter, which, no luck. I'm afraid that is the holy grail of prophetic books.
But the Fuhrer also wants the Holy Grail. And the Spear of Destiny, should you run across them.
Why are there no copies of Agnes Nutter's
Well, the
book?
Legends of Tomorrow have that.
Yeah. Money is
For 1972. Do not buy Beta Max.
Who is Peter Max?
I have no idea.
I would pass it on to the Fuhrer. We are all here.
Allow me to introduce Fräulein Greta Kleinschmidt. She works with us. Du hast dein Scheißkind von Händler reingelegt. Gut gemacht, Liebling.
Das war nicht schwer, Liebling.
Oh, it hurts him.
Little demonic miracle of man. Left home.
Maybe I'll give him the holy water.
Any other questions?
You were not yourself a witch, warlock, or someone that calls your cat funny names.
Not a witch, no pets. Anyone else?
The Witchfinder Army. Perhaps you've heard of it.
Well, I thought you said it was secret.
Well, you never know when in general. The Witchfinder Army are here for you.
Of army?
Thank you.
So that would be his operatives then? In the present day?
Yeah. Or him. The old man himself.
Yeah.
Since this is 1967.
Yeah.
After everything you said. Should I say thank you?
Better not.
I wonder if it's not actually holy water.
Moving on. By the way, having never seen Michael Sheen before, either yesterday or the day before, I caught about the last 15 minutes of a film called The Queen, where he plays Prime Minister Tony Blair. Dark hair, very young looking, so I don't know how long ago that was, maybe 10, 15 years. So he has obviously aged somewhat since then, but looks, curly hair and round little face, pretty much the same.
Yeah. Man, it took a while to get to these opening credits.
Yeah.
I swear we're already halfway through the episode.
Just thought you ought to know that due to an unfortunate mix-up in a hospital, the Antichrist has been mislaid. But it's all right.
He'd surprised the huge ginger cat from next door and had attempted to reduce it to cowering jelly by means of the usual glowing stare. It had always worked in the past.
It was about this pirate who was a famous detective. I bet it was a lot more exciting than any book you've lost, especially the bit in the spaceship where the dinosaur comes out and fights with the cowboys. I bet it'd cheer you up, my book. I'm Adam. I live in Hogback Lane. Thanks, Adam. Oh, I'm Anathema.
Then there are Witchfinder Major's saucepan, tin, milk bottle, deceased, and cupboard because Shadwell's limited imagination had been beginning to struggle at this point.
If that were the case.
It wouldn't change anything, Aziraphale.
Crowley and the rest were cast out, but nothing was ever really settled.
I suppose it wasn't.
The Earth isn't going to just end itself, you know?
No. Yes. Right.
So is the other kid being trained now? That's what they said.
Yeah. I lived in a little town that looked very much like that.
I just want to equate each of their auras to different levels of Super Saiyan.
Tadfield is a perfectly respectable village. If you're coming here to smoke your fatty spliffers and bimble off to Woo-Woo Land, then I suggest that you go elsewhere. Like back to America.
I don't trust him.
Hypotheticals indeed.
Did Gabriel always have purple eyes?
I don't know.
I'll put a squad of my best men onto it.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. Oh, and I should have asked about which way the Major Milk bottle. I was so sorry to hear of his untimely end. I said flowers.
A completely artificial dill pickle.
The shake doesn't contain any actual food content either.
Well, nobody shakes contain any actual food content. Okay.
Elvis is alive and well in Iowa.
The measuring scales, finally. I'm flying to England.
We find the boy. My agents can do it.
And then what? Eliminate him?
Have a nice doomsday.
I mean, what does he plan to do when he's found Adam? Unless he's gonna have Shadwell kill him.
Oh, nothing, Chief.
Looks like a sherbet lemon.
So he's accidentally coming into his power.
Yeah.
Alright. I gotta see how long. Yeah. So about halfway through the episode is when the opening credits came in. Yeesh.
Well, they had a story to tell.
Yeah. Alright. That was interesting. Sort of splitting the episode up pretty much into two stories, but it was much needed backstory going into mainly I feel like Aziraphale's character and his thought process when it comes to the Armageddon and should he stop it, should he just let it be, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I pretty much wrote down every part from the beginning of the episode, starting with Aziraphale basically being chewed out for the flaming sword. Although it was sort of he was getting chewed out, but he wasn't getting chewed out.
Well, that's very much, again, in keeping with the book of Genesis, when God asks Cain where his brother is, you can't really lie, and he says, I seem to have misplaced it.
Right.
I mean, God would obviously know that he gave it to the people. But.
Yeah, because that kind of seems to be the thing with his character, is that I kind of noticed, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and you can correct me in the comments, but Aziraphale never seems to really lie. Like, he does his best to avoid lying, down to the point where, like, at the end of the last episode, when he called the right house and found Adam, he was basically like, sorry, right number, and he hung up, because it just seems to be his character. He's such a goody two shoes because he's an angel. But even he isn't, maybe not as somewhat goody two-shoes as the other angels, because he is more... Honestly, both of them, both him and Crowley, have really been humanized over the course of 6,000 years on Earth.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is, when Crowley says it's like, it's our side, and it's like, and Aziraphale's like, no, I'm on my side, you're on your side. And it's like, no, you are on the side of humans. You are both, have basically just turned into humans over the course of all this time.
Yeah. My overarching kind of thought was, this episode wasn't as funny as the first two, but it was still, again, as brilliantly plotted, and the dialogue was, again, very crisp and very sharp. Again, there doesn't seem to be a wasted syllable in this, and I'm still very extremely pleased with how this is going. And of course, it can't be funny all the time, but again, you saw us laughing all the way through it. Just not as constantly funny as the first two episodes, but still very, very enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to episode 4.
It kind of reminds me of a series of unfortunate events. Yeah. And with how many people have said in the comments of the first episode that it's so accurate to the book. There's a couple things they cut out, but it is incredible how accurate it is, almost line for line. Yeah. So it does kind of remind me of that, and then the intro kind of reminds me of that.
For such an intricate plot, it really has to be. There's very little that you could have cut out that wasn't absolutely necessary to understand where the whole thing was going.
Right.
Again, and we mentioned this before, my only quibble with this entire episode was the costuming for the Arthur part. Now, we know that King Arthur is still legendary. Nobody knows exactly what he looked like. But if you're going to set it in, what did they have, 435, 500?
It was like 500 something.
Then plate armor was not invented for another 600-700 years.
It was too early for that. It would still be somewhat of a Roman style for that. So,
but other than that, and that's just two historians here going, oh, seriously, plate armor?
Yeah. But I mean, it was enough to where, because they wanted to overemphasize their colors specifically. And it's possible the two of them just built their own armor.
Yeah.
So they know how to do that. But they had to overemphasize the White Knight of Aziraphale. And then as soon as he said, I'm here looking for the Black Knight, it's like, okay, that's definitely Crowley then.
And again, shades of Monty Python,
Yeah.
The Black Knight. It's only a flesh wound.
Right. So the other points that we had in that intro, we saw the two of them at the Ark talking about that, and again starting up Aziraphale's sort of discomfort with everything that upstairs is doing, killing all the locals. He did say it's like, okay, well, it's just the locals. It's God's not upset with the Chinese and the Australians and the Native Americans, so they'll probably be fine. But everyone here,
and again, that's absolutely brilliant, because I don't want to say evidence or proof or anything like that, but there seems to be some factual basis that in the Middle Eastern region, Persian Gulf, Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and Black Sea area, that there was some kind of massive flooding at some point, and that's why it would be in their collective memories in that part of the world. And although, of course, the story goes that there is some kind of flood story in every major culture on the earth, none of them have the idea that it wiped out everyone except the chosen few. Obviously the Sumerians have the story of Gilgamesh, which relates a story about a family that survives the Great Flood, and several of the other, the Akkadians and some of the others in that time period. So the fact that they very subtly slipped in, well, he's not PO'd at the Chinese or the Australians.
Right.
That was really kind of cool to be able to fit that in and still make it funny.
Right. Because even, and it was even still a little funny. It was bad, but it was funny when Crowley was saying, it's like, oh, come on, you can't kill the kids. That's just not right. And then, Crowley looks over. It's like, oh, wait, one of the unicorns is making a run for it. You don't want it? No. Well, you still have one. It'll probably be fine. After that, we went from the Ark to the cross, watching Jesus get killed on the cross, which, again, Aziraphale wasn't entirely on board with, and that just seems to be like the running thing for all of these, is that for the most part, Aziraphale is just uncomfortable with it, and Crowley keeps just pointing out that he is uncomfortable. It's like, is this really the best thing you can do? You may even say he's kind of tempting Aziraphale.
Yeah. What I think is the brilliant underlying thread there is, and they even mentioned it in one of the sequences, I don't remember which one, is that Aziraphale and Crowley both seem to be implying that wasn't the actual plan, but it's what the humans came up with after they were given free will. Surely this can't be the plan. Well, no, it's not God's plan, but it's certainly what the humans have done, taken what they believe to be God's plan and doing it on their own. So, again, I don't know, maybe I was just reading that in myself, but that seemed to be a very interesting sub-thread there, that this isn't the actual, heavenly plan. It's what the humans have done in their own interpretation of it. So I don't know, maybe that's a little too theological for some people.
I don't know, maybe. We went from there to Wessex, where we got the whole the White Knight and the Black Knight stuff. From there we went to the Globe Theatre, which was interesting. It really wasn't anything there wasn't anything religious going on there. They were just kind of there, although they were trying to figure out, okay, one of us has to go to
Scotland,
and then they flip a coin, because they kept saying, it's like, well, we're basically just out here canceling each other out. You're doing good, I'm doing bad, and nothing's being accomplished here.
Yeah. It frustrates me that they said it was 1601, and I'm trying to think of what happened in Scottish history in 1601 that would have happened as a blessing and a curse. I know he said something about, I've got to go convince somebody to steal some sheep or steal some horses, but I can't. This is well after Mary Queen of Scots, but it's before King James of Scotland becomes the King of England, because Elizabeth would still be alive in 1601. So I'm going to have to go back and check my history book to figure out specifically what happened in Scotland that would have been something that both the angel and the demon would have been inspired to go look at.
Yeah.
But I also love it, being a theater person, it would take a miracle for anybody to enjoy Hamlet. Yes.
Yeah.
I love Shakespeare's comedies. I think Midsummer Night's Dream is one of the greatest scripts ever written. But, oh, Lord, just Hamlet, Macbeth, Lear, Othello, all the big ones. No, I can't tolerate them. And that may be, again, I was in a production of The Tragedy of King Richard III where we did not cut a syllable. The production ran 4 hours and 15 minutes.
Oof.
Yeah, I played Lord Hastings. I was very fortunate. I got killed at the top of the third act, didn't have to come back until the fifth act, which was almost an hour and a half later, and I got to say 10 lines, curse you, Richard, despair and die was my big line, I think. So, anyway.
Well, I kind of like Macbeth, but it was all right.
My problem is I have never seen, in my opinion, a decent production of Macbeth, even in the films, because too many of the actors tend to make Macbeth too worried, too introspective. That's not at all the way I see it as a director or as an actor. I see, Macbeth says, I've been given this opportunity and I must see it through to the very end. I don't care, that Birnam Wood has come to Dunsinane. I don't care if Macduff is a man not born of woman. I don't care. I've been told this is what's going to do, and I will see it through to the last, and he accepts his fate at the end. That's just me,
So he does it and he doesn't have regrets about it.
Yeah, doesn't gripe about it, doesn't whine about it. He says, yes, I've had all this stuff happen to me, but I will see it through to the end.
Yeah.
Anybody want me to direct a production of Macbeth, you know where to find me.
Yeah. We went from the Globe Theatre to Paris, where Aziraphale was going to be executed, which is interesting. I was kind of thinking, okay, well, is it that easy to kill an angel? But apparently anything can kill an angel. He was about to get shot during the Blitz, and Crowley had to come in and save him, and then they had to have a real miracle to survive the bomb. So that's just interesting that despite the fact that they are, higher sorts of beings than humans, they still seem to be, I guess, as fragile.
Yeah.
And then Crowley has more weaknesses on top of that because of the church and the holy water and everything.
What was the word he used? Disincorporate? You can't disincorporate me or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so it almost makes you wonder. It's like, okay, well, if they chopped off his head, would he just become a spirit or something like that? Yeah. But kind of thought he already was.
Well, there's a difference between the corporeal, which is the physical, and the spiritual. So I thought that was an interesting choice of words, to disincorporate him.
Right. Let's see. After that, they went to London. It was before the Blitz. Oh, because they were making... they were talking about Crowley's insurance with the holy water.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's specifically that he wants the holy water so that if Armageddon does happen, he can destroy himself before everything else destroys him.
And again, it's not quite an Easter egg, but the whole thing about... Now, we know that Hitler was obsessed with the occult, but, finding the Holy Grail and the Spear of Destiny and all that sort of stuff, again, just that's shades of Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Last Crusade. I realized that the Book of Good Omens was written after some of this other stuff, but still, it's just brilliant in the way that it incorporates a lot of that that current stuff back in the late 80s and early 90s, just as, kind of an homage or a callback to it, like you put it.
And the fact that he also wanted the Book of the Prophecies, specifically because with that, he could win the war entirely, but at this point, Aziraphale can't have it. He's only supposed to get it in the last episode when he accidentally gets it, because Anathema left it behind in Crowley's car. So, and then the only thing he does know is don't buy Betamax. Specifically.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, we'll tell the Fuhrer. It's like, great.
It's like buying a Zune instead of an iPod.
Yeah.
Which we did.
Yeah. So, we had the Blitz, and then Crowley came in and saved him. And that was funny that they didn't even do an effect for that. They just had David Tennant just hopping around in there because it burned his feet. But they didn't show that. We didn't have any sound effects or anything. It is very implied that his feet are being burned.
Yeah.
And then the final place we went before the title came in halfway through the episode was 1967, because he wanted to steal the holy water because he wants that insurance. And then finally Aziraphale just gave him some.
Yeah.
But
I kept wondering if there was any significance to 1967, but apparently it was just to introduce the young Sergeant Shadwell and the Witchfinder Army. So, because again, I don't remember anything specific about 1967. That's like a year or two before Rosemary's Baby, and of course that was set in New York anyway. I thought there was something in there, but my memory of 1967, any big thing happening then, I don't know. So.
Yeah. And now, so here's the big question. Did he actually give him holy water?
I guess we'll find that out.
If I were to guess, I would probably say no, because I would imagine he just gave him the thermos filled with water, and Crowley's not going to use it until he absolutely needs to, so there's no way that he can find out that it's not, because I would imagine Aziraphale just wants to get him off of that, because he kept saying, no, this is too risky, I don't want you to put your own life in danger. So I would imagine he didn't actually do that. He just gave him a thermos of water just so that he would stop.
Now there is just a very brief line or two in the book and the film of The Exorcist, where they're trying to find out if the demon inside of Regan is a real demon or not, or whether she's just dreaming it. And so they don't use real holy water, they just use water, but it burns her skin. And they said something about the fact, well, if the demon believes that it's holy water, though, then that would have that effect. So I don't know.
That's true.
But you notice that he didn't shake it or anything to hear it, but it did seem to have the weight of a thermos that was actually full of something. So it probably has water in it. Whether it has holy water or not, I guess we'll find out in a later episode.
Right. And maybe it could be something, too, that if they wanted to go this route where he dumps it on him and something happens, could it be possible that while he's wet, Aziraphale could just bless it there? or if he can bless it. I would assume he can, being an angel, but maybe he can't. So maybe, but then that would destroy Crowley, and we would lose the character, which would be odd. I mean, I'm no stranger to characters being killed off in shows, but that just seems like it would just be a weird way to go if they did that after the fact. Yeah. Let's see. We had a bit more between Adam and Anathema, talking about the aura and everything, and pretty much him now coming under her influence, which is interesting. It's not towards the good side with the Aziraphale. It's not toward Crowley. It's towards her and all of her occult thinking and stuff like that, which led to him accidentally using his power to take out the nuclear plant, basically.
But yeah, she's very liberal in her thinking. Talked about saving the whales and doing away with nuclear power and all that sort of thing. And so, that's neither in the opinions neither good nor bad, but she is thinking about the safety of the planet, and again, like you said, subconsciously influencing him to do these things, neither right nor wrong, but just because it's the thing to do.
Yeah. And so it is pushing him to actually save the planet instead of trying to destroy it, which honestly, that pretty much, it's almost like she's pushing him to be more human, which is exactly what we have with Aziraphale and Crowley, because both of them have been living here. They've become a lot more human over the years. And so it's almost like now we're pushing all three of them on their own side for humanity.
Yeah.
So, which we saw the other angels are not entirely on board with. And that, now it's interesting that he did go to them and talk to them about this, and it's like, well, they had a mix-up, and it's not the ambassador's son. And it's interesting that he did that because the plan still goes on. He still has his Hellhound, and he's coming into his power. It's just that now he's not being trained to use his power.
Yeah.
Like, I think Gabriel even said, well, the boy's already been taken. He's being trained and stuff like that, which means that this poor American child is being trained with no powers. But yeah, that was interesting, that they kind of just didn't really care, because, like, well, either way, Armageddon is still going to happen, even if it's not the child we thought it was.
Yeah.
So, and that led into now the other angels don't trust Aziraphale anymore.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, again, very specifically, they said that the wrong boy is being taken to Israel, because according to the Book of Revelation, they have to go to the plain of Megiddo, which is where Armageddon comes from. Literally means the war of Megiddo. Plain of Jezreel, and then the great army from the east will come in, and there will be the battle between the forces of good and evil, and that will bring about the end of the world.
Right.
And the New Jerusalem. Again, I haven't read Revelation in a while, so.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing about that is, they said, well, everything will still happen, but will it still happen if he's not being taken there? It's like, it's the wrong child. I guess it's that, if the child is still taken there will still be a battle, but he won't be there.
Yeah.
So maybe if this is just such a big war, this Armageddon, it's supposed to destroy the entire Earth, he'll just be caught in the crossfire. Or will he go in there? Maybe he goes in there and stops it, like he stops both sides, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
or Crowley and Aziraphale do that.
There's a bizarre, probably relatively obscure, I guess it was a song originally, that basically said, suppose they gave a war and nobody came. Where they call the two kingdoms get together, and the kings say, we must have a war for, our side has to beat their side, and the two kings show up on the battlefield, and they look around and nobody else showed up.
Yeah.
So that'd be an interesting thought, the Battle of Armageddon, and nobody shows up.
Yeah. Now, it does make me wonder, will the four horsemen find Adam, or will they go with the other forces with Warlock, basically? Because we got a new horseman in this. We got Famine and all of his chow that's not food. And then he gets the scales and he's like, all right, well, I've got work to do then. So will he actually... will he and War and the other two horsemen end up finding Adam, or will they end up finding the other forces?
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. It's like, how will Adam be dragged into all this, or is he kept out of it long enough to where maybe he could end it?
When Famine got the scales and canceled all his appointments, didn't he say we need to go to Israel, or did he say we need to go back to England?
I thought he said England.
I don't remember.
Look back at that. Let's see here. I might have passed it. Oh, there it is.
Food-free food. Artificial bun, artificial butt.
Sharpened and food contains bone-planted and woven protein molecules designed to be ignored by your digestive enzymes, no cow sweeteners, oil replacements, fibers, materials, colorings, and flavorings. Chow is an edible substance and must not be confused with food. Eating chow can help you to lose weight, hair, and kidneys.
It's interesting. It's the same delivery man.
Yeah. I thought it was you. Looked around, I thought, tall gent with a beard, nice suit. It's a package for you, sir.
Measuring scales. Finally. A blind England.
England. So,
all right.
If he's going to England, then that's back to see Adam.
Yeah, because there would be no other reason for him to go to England. Because the American ambassador lives in England, though.
But didn't they say that the ambassador was taking his family to Israel earlier on? I thought that they had said something about that. That's just maybe Gabriel said that, setting up the plan there. Yes, they are being taken to Israel because that's where the battle will start.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, we'll wait and see in the next episode, I'm guessing.
But it is possible he instinctively knows to go to England. Possibly. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. You got anything else?
I'm good.
All right, then we'll just head on over to the next episode, basically. Good episode, and we'll have to just see where we go. We're halfway through the season now.
Hard to believe.
Yeah. All right, with all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of our good Omens reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.